I am a child of migrant parents who came from Greece. My parents used to work in the factories, and now we own the factories. My parents came here with absolutely nothing, and my daughter and son have everything. Everything. There's nothing that they need or that they want. My generation, was born here. We were the first ones in between. First ones born here, right? And we grew up with stories of struggle and poverty and hard work. And now we're bringing up lives that are telling us stories about discovery and exploration and when are you going to buy me the new Nintendo Switch? We, my generation, had to disconnect from our working class roots. We had to disconnect from our parents in that way. And it took me 20 years to disconnect from that because there was a part of me still there. And so it was only recently I started to really question this migrant dream. I have all these degrees, I'm making money, taking my kids to a great school, right? I should be happy. Life should be great. And it is most of the time, but I'm wondering whether it's better, whether this social mobility is actually about progress, whether going from working to middle and upper middle and maybe even high one day will actually be worth it. Recently, my daughter announced that she was Japanese. Now, you could have guessed, my husband and I, unfortunately, don't have any Asian descent in our backgrounds. And so I approached this statement, my daughter loves to speak in statements, as an educator and a parent, and I said the age-old question, what makes you say that? Well, she said, with assurance, I love sushi, I love Hello Kitty, and Japanese class is the best. Now, the parent and the educator would then go into the follow-up questions. Who's your favorite Hello Kitty character? What is your Japanese teacher doing? That's so exciting and fun. But that's not what happened. I suddenly transformed into a 70-plus-year-old matriarch. And I looked her straight in the eye and I said, you are going to Greek school. It was that point in my life where I realized I was old because not only did I sound like my mother, I became my mother at that point. I was her all over again. I was going back, forward, around, had no idea where I was moving, but I wanted to ensure that she knew the connection, that she had the assurance that we grew up, that we were from this place, and this place means everything, and you must know this story. Places change. They come and they go. We move from place to place all the time. Even when we're in the same place, we move because we see that place change in our children's eyes and even in our parents' eyes as we grow. Recently, I accompanied my father to a trip to Greece. It was the last time he was visiting his family, and he left all of his family behind to be here. And I started to collate this list of reasons why I was on Bunurong land, why we went from Pontos as Black Sea people, moved to northern Greece, and then came right here to Bunurong land. Why is my Mediterranean blood feeling cold in this Melbourne winter? It's not meant to be here. Why am I here? This list then became more than a list. It became stories about movement and all the ways that we have moved and that we continue to move. We moved with a horse and cart. My yaya and papu, my grandparents, were on a horse and cart when they saw their home completely destroyed. My yaya got off the cart, she started crying and screaming, but she could hear music. She could hear the uti, which is a small guitar, playing. When she turned around, she saw my papu playing the uti. And she said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?" And he said, "When you have nothing, there is always music." We then moved using a bicycle. My dad was a delivery driver, if you like, before Uber. He was on a bicycle and he would deliver groceries to all the families in the busy city of Thessaloniki. And one day he was delivering kilos of rice and he dropped it. It fell on the ground. He got off his bike, got on his hands and knees and picked up every single grain, praying that he wouldn't lose his livelihood, that he wouldn't lose the ability to support his family. He delivered the rice, but the rice was dirty. We moved on trains. It took 20 years for the Thessaloniki train station to actually be built. I was lucky enough to visit it on my recent trip. Every time they kept digging to build the train station, they kept finding ancient artifacts. Ancient history was interrupting progress. Ancient history was stopping the suburbs from connecting. And as I said, I visited the train station. I was in that museum, if you like. It was more than a train station. But unfortunately, many Greek people are still waiting. There was a recent train accident, not on that particular line. Young lives were lost, and we are waiting. We are waiting for the cradle of civilization and democracy to finally show justice to these young lives. We move in cars. Any major city in Greece, the parking is ridiculous. Cars are everywhere. Even my dad said, "What is going on?" with his very structured, process-driven Australian eyes. What's with this chaos? I, being the translator of the culture I inherited now, saying, "You know, there are no rules here, Dad. The cars just go everywhere." And my cousin interrupted and said, "Oh no, there are rules. We just don't follow them." So, those are some of the movements about myself and my family. And we're still moving. My daughter has been going to Greek school for the last year. She knows a handful of Greek words, but she did announce recently that she wants to fly to Japan. And so I said, darling, you can fly wherever you want, as long as you understand how we have moved. Thank you.